and we can talk about what we want. The 21st century, we know, is about enlightenment finally ruling, and this is evidence. Thank you for your life.
Right. Hang on.
I will. Thank you very much.
Hang on. Don't go away.
Oh, don't go away. Okay.
Yeah, not yet, because maybe one of these times you can have me on your show. But
I was getting ready to say that next.
but one of the things I want you to know is for all the light workers and the higher energy people, we haven't seen anything yet. You know, these people in power and control honestly think they're in power and control. We may be outnumbered, but they are heavily outgunned using militaristic terms. Because it's a let us just say a thing that's been predicted and projected for millennia.
That's true.
That is now coming to a head, and the light worker will, without hesitation, and we're going to see it starting to culminate this year, will gain its rightful place in the face of humanity. People will hear you, so you just stay with it, young lady. I will. Thank you so much for the Aware Talk Radio, and is there a contact website or something where we can get in touch with you? Absolutely. It's Hairfield.com, www.hairfield.com.
Okay, wonderful.
And my email address is just my name, Stephen@Hairfield.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to continue to listen. Have a good evening.
Hey, you too. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thanks. You know, I definitely appreciate hearing from people with questions. And of course, chat room's still, we are live here, and chat room is still open. And Stephen, you had mentioned about this year being the year of exposure, and apparently we are learning what's inside of ourselves, and we're seeing these things occur. What's going to be hard about this year?
What's going to be hard about this year? On one hand, nothing.
Okay.
And on the other hand, I'm going to say one of the things that we're going to become aware of is the notion of illusion. What's real and what isn't real. The ego itself is starting to go through an extremely wonderful, is the way I'll phrase it, awakening to the idea of the true self. In other words, the ego is going to release its control. And once that happens, then we're going to start seeing the idea of the illusion of the need of power and control is going to start releasing. We're only going to begin witnessing that this year. And it's not going to be a simple road. It's not going to be a road that's going to be easy for the majority of us to walk. First off, you have to address yourself. How many people actually do that? Oh, we think we do, but my suggestion to everybody out there listening is if you think you do, you better take a relook. If you know you do, then you have a different concept and a different idea. So, foregoing self will evolve this year. Now, let's look at where are the issues going to come from? Weather. Weather is going to become so dynamic that nobody is going to actually be able to really project or predict what's going to occur, where and when. It's going to become a mystery, if you will. There's one. Two, let's look at geologic activity. We're going to start seeing earthquakes and volcanic activity in places where it does not ordinarily reside. And one of the things I asked you about before we came on the show this evening is chat, because of where you live. Did you feel the earthquake that occurred in southwest Canada? And your answer was no. So there's one already. But we're going to start seeing more and more of that in geologic activity in places that we do not anticipate. One of Edgare Cacye's great predictions is that New York would go before Los Angeles, and nobody is expecting that. Will that occur this year? Not quite. Probably more like 2009. There's a long-term prediction, huh?
Exactly.
But I think it's a precursor to what's going to be occurring here in our country. Now, let's look at our country. If you look at globally, there's an article that comes out once a week called Earthwatch, and I encourage everybody to start checking it out. They do have a website. It's earthwatch.com. Go there. Look at what's going on out there. You're going to see everything the media doesn't want you to know about geologic activity. And even if we look at the notion of global warming, ladies and gentlemen, it is a notion. It's a cycle that occurs every 25,000 years and can be geologically proven by the study of the ice core samples out of the far north. One of the things, I did a radio show called the X Zone, was that a week ago?
Yeah.
And it was broadcast out of Canada. And Rob McConnell asked me about this global warming, and my answer to him was this, is, hey, everybody, check it out. The ice caps, the polar ice caps on Mars are melting. Now, if that's true and they're doing it here, you got to ask yourself one basic question. What are they driving on Mars?
Well, a large percentage of our population, of every population, is coastal. They live on the coastlines.
Certainly.
What do you see with the ocean levels? I mean,
candidly, they project with the continuing melting of the polar ice caps, yada yada, that the ocean waters are going to rise. Well, what they don't realize is, hey, did you know that Antarctica, its ice caps are growing?
Okay.
All right, Earth, Mother Nature has a way of handling this stuff very naturally. So as the Arctic ice caps melt, the Antarctic ice caps expand. It's absorbing the melt in the southern hemisphere. Now, what's that going to do? Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, that could create an imbalance geologically in our world, which could cause, oh heaven forbid, a polar shift.
Yeah, that's what Cacye, many others have said, and of course this occurs over and over. So,
how about geologically proven through scientific studies? It has happened 171 times.
Okay. Now, is Antarctica at the southern pole?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just trying to picture that in my head. Sure, if the ice in one section on one side of the basketball is all formed, the others are melting, then it would make sense that you not only have a pole shift, but a literal global shift.
And that we're going to see ultimately, but that is not within the next 12 months. So, and I'd rather keep our discussion over the next 12 months. And I understand that, bless her heart, Sylvia Brown was on the Montiel show, and she was asked whether the real estate market would recover. That answer is, she said yes, it'll do it by spring, and the truth of that is not going to happen by spring. I think more towards the tail end of the year, but that has a few factors that are dependent on it. I think one of the things that we have to focus all of our intent on, in fact, right now, all of you investors out there, if you have the wherewithal to be doing such a wonderful thing as that, I would shift any investments you have to precious metals. And I know that's a bold statement, but if you've been watching the markets at all, they are extremely erratic, like they were once before in the history of this country, and we can go all the way back to the late 1920s for that. In fact, the markets have swung even lower than what has been known as the Great Depression. Interestingly enough, the media is staying away from that word, and they keep continuing to use the word recession because it's more palatable to humankind.
Sure.
My suggestion is...
Okay, all right. Then I have a question then, though.
Yes,
if both weather and finances and economics and all these things are just outer results of inner things that are occurring, this year being the year of exposure, how is it that we can make these things simple? I mean, is there a way to jump to the end of the book? You see what I'm saying? Can we just open up and be in alignment with it?
If you're going to walk from here to Atlanta, you're not going to all of a sudden jump from here to Atlanta, unless, of course, you've been trained in Far Eastern studies and know how to accomplish such a task.
Can I buy a ticket, though?
You can buy a ticket, but you still got to go from point A to point B.
One step at a time.
Yeah, the journey of life is nothing that we can overlook. And the interesting thing is, the fact is, we have been overlooking a multiplicity of things, especially the inner self. It's simple on one hand to become enlightened and awakened, and on the other, not so easy. So how can I throw that paradox out there? It's simple. You become enlightened when you're ready to and you accept it. You become enlightened when you quit looking for it because you know that you already have it. You become a consciously aware human when you quit struggling with issues, no matter what the issues may be. All of those are the fast path, and it's not something that every human is capable of doing for two reasons. First off, they don't believe it, especially in this part of the world. Secondly, if they really began to explore themselves as opposed to ignoring or denying themselves, they would understand the most beautiful, magnificent thing ever developed in the history of the world, individuality and identity. In